In this lecture, we will see the SAR, that is structure activity relationship of quinolines, that is the main class of anti-malarial agents. So, in this we will be seeing three main categories, that is first is quinine, which were naturally formed, and the second one is 4-aminoquinolines, synthetic class, and 8-aminoquinolines. So, basically the SAR of quinolines is divided into three parts, that is SAR of quinine, SAR of 4-quinolines, and SAR of 8-aminoquinolines. Now, let us begin with the quinine SAR. So, this I have made the structure of basic quinine moiety. It is having, as we have already seen in the classification, it has three types of requirements, that is quinoline ring, then quiniklidine, then these two are fused with the help of a hydroxymethyl group. And at this quinoline, at 6th position there is methoxy group present, and to this quiniklidine, this is a bicyclo compound, and at 3rd position there is a vinyl group. So, the main points of the SAR of quinine is the quinoline ring, then quiniklidine ring, and hydroxymethyl group for joining the both parts is essential for the activity. This A I have written for the activity, that is the anti-malarial activity. Then if we replace, it is also having a methoxy group at 6th position of quinoline. If we replace that methoxy group with chloro group, a chloro group is added instead of this methoxy, the activity is decreased of this quinine moiety. Then if C2, at C2 position of this quinoline, if phenyl group is introduced, here we add a phenyl group, like we are adding like this, then what happen, the activity increases. We can go for replacing this second, at second H is there right now. If that H is replaced with the phenyl group, then we can there is increase in the activity. Then at the 8th position, it is also able to react with it, and if halogen is introduced at this position, then also the activity is increased. So, due to these all points, there are some of the modifications of the other classes. Then at C9, that is the hydroxymethyl group, if this is secondary, then and this secondary group is essential, as we have already seen, but if this secondary alcohol is oxidized or is this esterified, oxidation means it will get converted into ketone or carboxylic acid group, or esterification also means there is a type of oxidation, and COH if reacts with alcohol, it gives ester. If these are oxidized or esterified, there is a decrease in the activity. So, this is the SAR of basic quinine moiety. Now, let us go for the SAR of 4-aminoquinolase. So, this is the basic structure of chlorquinine, a prototype drug of this class. So, here the SAR will be discussed in two main points. First is this ring, that is quinoline ring. Then one is the aliphatic chain, which is attached at the 4th carbon, as the name is suggesting. There is a substitution at 4th position of this quinoline. So, let us see what are important points for SAR in quinoline ring. If quinoline ring is there, which is essential for the activity, for the optimum activity of anti-malarial category. So, we are already studying the quinoline category. So, this ring is essential for the activity. This means important and essential for the activity. Activity, which activity it is? It is saying about the anti-malarial activity. Now, if quinoline ring, this is replaced with acridine, then there is some loss of activity, as we have already seen a class of acridine under this anti-malarial category. If this quinoline is replaced with acridine, there is less activity. Less activity is there, means quinoline ring has more activity than acridine ring. Then at 3rd position of this, if small introduction of this carbon, we are introducing small alkyl like methyl groups are introduced, then there is somewhat less activity than the usual category of the compounds. Now, if see 8th position is very prone to for the reaction, and if we add some methyl group there is abolishment. It means there is no activity, there is abolishment of the anti-malarial activity. Now at fifth point is, if at C7 of this chloro is there, then this chloro is very important for the activity of 4-aminoquinolines to share their action. Now the second which type we will be studying about this aliphatic chain, which is there in the 4-aminoquinolines at the fourth position. So what are all important points under this category are C4th, that is 1, this we are talking about now the aliphatic chain, means 1, 2, 3 and 4th. This 4th position carbon of this aliphatic chain is having a dialkyl. Here it is ethyl, means dialkyl amino. This is amino. Dialkyl amino is important for the activity of anti-malarial action. Now the aliphatic chain, if this aliphatic chain is there, there must be 2 to 6 carbon atoms to be there in between the 2 amino groups which are there, or the whole should be having either 2 or 6 maximum of the carbon atoms chain should be there for the optimal activity of anti-malaria. Now if hydroxyl group is introduced, if there is a hydroxyl group introduction, then there will be decrease in the activity, as in the case of, this is example where hydroxyl group is there. If hydroxyl is there, here OH was there in the hydroxychloroquine when we studied about the classification. So if OH is introduced in this side chain, then there is decrease in activity, as in the case of hydroxychloroquine. Now if aromatic chain is introduced in this part of the side chain, that is aliphatic chain, then there is decrease in the activity and decrease in toxicity also. So if we can have if there is very much high toxicity, the person is having taking several medicines and we want to reduce the toxicity, then we can go for these options when it decreases somewhat the activity, but also there is decrease in the toxicity. For example, the amodiaquine, which we studied in the classification also, this is an example in which there is a introduction of aryl group in between these aliphatic chain. Now if this is a aliphatic chain with no saturation, no unsaturation. If unsaturation is introduced in this side chain, there will be no activity of the 4-aminoquinolines. So this is about the second class, that is 4-aminoquinolines SAR. Now the third class, that is the SAR of 8-aminoquinolines class of drugs under anti-malarial category. So this is the main prototype structure of primaquine, where quinoline ring is there, at 6th methoxy group is present, then at the 8th position amino substitution is there, that is aliphatic chain is there, quinoline is there, at 6th methoxy group is present. So for studying this SAR, we have to look for the 3 main points, that is the quinoline ring, substitutions over the quinoline ring, then about this side chain. So we will see quinoline, then we will see about the 8-amino side chain which we are having, then we will see the ring substituents which can be there for, under this whole quinoline. What all can be the substituents be possible? So first let us see the quinoline. So if we see the quinoline, then this can be replaced with the phenanthrene, anthracene and naphthalene. There are many example newer derivatives of this anti-malarial category where naphthalene is there. 1,4-naphthalene was a example when we studied the classification. If it is replaced with, this quinoline is replaced with some other heterocyclic ring like phenanthrene, anthracene or naphthalene, then there is activity retained in the molecule. Then if we reduce this moiety, that is the quinoline moiety, if it is reduced, it becomes inactive. And this basically, if we talk about the 8-aminoquinolines, this quinoline is very important for the activity. Now second type what we will study about the SAR is the 8-amino side chain. The side chain which is there, this whole side chain, what all can be there, like we saw here, the aliphatic side chain. These points are also important. Then some additional points like the distance between the 2 nitrogen, this 1 nitrogen and second nitrogen should be 2 to 6 methylene. The same we studied here. 2 to 6 methyl groups or carbon should be there between the aliphatic chain and 2 amino acids, 2 amino groups. Now 8 amino group, in this 8th amino group is should be always secondary to show the maximum activity of anti-malarial action. Now the third category of SAR which should be discussed in this particular 8 amino quinolines is about the substituents on the quinolines. What all substituents can be there? For example, at the 6th position we see methoxy group is present. So this is important for the activity. The C6 methoxy group is the important for the activity. Now second point is C2. If C2 we add a benzyl oxy group, then the activity also decreases, but with that the toxicity also decreases. If we add a at second carbon we are adding with the benzyl oxy group. Then this methoxy introduction at C2 or C5, these two positions are vacant, anything can be added. If we add to it the methoxy groups, then there is increase in the therapeutic index. The therapeutic index, TI means the therapeutic index, is increased if we introduce at second and our methoxy group at second or at C5 position of this quinolines ring substituents. Then at C3, this is the point at C3, if we are introducing a phenyl group, then there is decrease in activity and toxicity also gets decreased. Then at C4, this position is also very prone toward the action, and C4 if we add small alkyl groups, then this is good point, toxicity is decreased but activity is increased. So this is important point which can be done for the research work. C4 if you are adding small alkyl groups, then it increases the activity and toxicity is also reducing, which is preferred. Then at C6 this methoxy, if it is replaced with ethoxy, means C2H5 is there, OC2H5, then what happens, there is decrease in the activity of anti-malarial action. There is decrease in the activity. And if methoxy, like here chloro was there, one of the group, if chloro was introduced here C7, and if we are introducing here instead of methoxy we are adding chloride, then what happens, the activity is the decrease in the activity occurs. So this is all about the main class of anti-malarial drug having the structure activity relationship in 3 parts.